If I could have convinced more slaves that they were slaves, I could have freed thousands more. Those were the words of Harriet Tubman. Hi everyone, Amanda Hughes here for Family Tree Nuts, and I'm on the banks of the Beaufort River on present-day Naval Hospital Beaufort compound that was once the site of Camp Saxton. And I'm here to tell you maybe a little-known story of Harriet Tubman, Moses, as she was also known. However, those were only two of her names. Her first name was Araminta Ross. Born in Maryland in 1822, that was the name that she was given by her parents. And as you know, she was born into slavery. And she is probably one of the most iconic women in American history. She escaped from slavery in 1849, only to return again and again to the Maryland plantation and surrounding plantations where she was originally enslaved, leading first family members and then others to freedom along the Underground Railroad. And that is where she got the nickname Moses. In the spring of 1862, Harriet Tubman came to the South Carolina Lowcountry. She came here to try to alleviate some of the suffering of a people's abruptly set free and in need of the basic necessities of life. Here in Beaufort, Tubman served the Union Army in many capacities. She served as a scout, a spy, a nurse, and a cook, and a laundress. She also served as a recruiter, recruiting black soldiers, and all of that took place here on this property, which was at the time known as Camp Saxton. Tubman also ran an eating house in Beaufort town, and she established a wash house where she taught newly freed women to do washing, sewing, and baking for the Union soldiers. She did this in order for these freed female slaves to become self-sufficient. But probably her most famous escapade in the Beaufort area was that of the Combahee River Raid. Taking place in the early morning of June 2nd, 1863, Harriet Tubman guided 3 steamboats around Confederate mines in the waters of the Combahee River and leading the steamboats to shore. Once ashore, the Union troops set fire to the rice plantations and cotton plantations, destroying infrastructure and seizing thousands of dollars worth of food and supplies. When the steamboats sounded their whistles, slaves throughout the area understood that they were being freed. Imagine it. They hear these whistles of the steamboats, and they knew that the Union Army was there to free them. Tubman recorded later that she watched as slaves stampeded toward the boats. She records that she never saw such a sight, describing the scene with chaos, with women carrying still steaming pots of rice, pigs squealing in box slung over their shoulders, and babies hanging around their parents' necks. And although their owners, armed with handguns and whips, tried to stop them from fleeing, those efforts were nearly useless in the chaos that was ensuing along the banks of the Combahee River. The Confederate troops also raced toward the scenes, but the 3 steamboats were able to escape those Confederate Army troops and raced off back down the river toward Beaufort. Over 750 slaves were freed in the Combahee River Raid. Harriet Tubman stayed in the Lowcountry for a couple of more years. There are even reports of her serving Colonel Robert Gould Shaw his last meal of the 54th Massachusetts. She did this prior to that unit's ill-fated assault on Fort Wagner that was portrayed in the last scenes of the movie Glory. Harriet Tubman returned home to Auburn, New York in 1865 at the close of the war. One more thing that I think we need to talk about, something that happened to her that you would think wouldn't happen in New York in the North in 1869. But she was on a train ride to New York City, and the conductor told her that she had to move her seat. She refused, and by all accounts, she put up quite a fight. In the end, even the other passengers were cursing at her and yelling at her as the conductor tried to pull her out of the seat that she was occupying. She would not relent though, stating that she had government papers that allowed her to sit where she was sitting. Her act of defiance became a symbol, cited when Rosa Parks did her own refusal to move her seat. in 1955. Harriet Tubman died of pneumonia in 1913 at her home in Auburn, New York. She was 91 years old. I hope you've enjoyed maybe this little known story of Harriet Tubman here in the South Carolina Lowcountry. Remember, family tree nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
Like what you see? Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the little bell so you get notifications as to when we post new videos. And you can find out more about us and contact us at familytreenuts.org.